And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be journeying through different terrains. For example, maybe we'll be in the forest, and we will be looking around the forest, trying to conquer some ruins or some cities, and the cities might be empty, but there might be someone there that we need to attack before we can take it over. There's other terrains we're going to be going through too, but in this game it's called Hyperborea, and we're going to be going all around different things and attacking and finding the cool things, and it's made by Asmodee, at least here in the US that's who we get it through. It's for 2 to 6 players, takes about 30 minutes per player. There's a short, medium, or long game, so you can change the length there. This has a very interesting, you've heard of deck builders. Well, this is what they call a bag builder, where you're building different cubes that have different actions that help you out throughout the game. And that's what's intriguing about this. Let's take a look, and I'll show you how to play it, and then I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of Hyperborea, everybody gets to take a board of the color and race that they have chosen to the game. This is a big board, just to show you, this is the size of my hand here, and it's quite a big board. And you can see here the different colors and races that look pretty cool. The artwork in this game is absolutely stunning. It's really good here. And of course the last one here, you'll set your board up with some development tokens there. And each player gets 10 miniatures of their color. They get some fortress tokens, which are used for defense. They get to select one of two different cards that will give them special actions during the game. And they get to take 1 cube of each of the colors. They also get a bag of their color, and they get to put all one of each of those cubes in the bag to start the game. And just to show you that each of the colors comes with their own miniatures that look different and cool. Obviously they look like the pictures that were on those boards, but they're all individual from each other, but they get 10 unique ones of their color. Those look really cool. So we have the board set up for 4 players. The board gets set up different for every time you have a different amount of players. So everyone has a homeland where they put 3 of their miniatures. We also have some ruins where there's some flip down tokens that you can explore for and get some cool abilities. Then we have some tiles that are randomly selected to be flipped over as you get close to them, and there's a center tile that's random. All these are going to be different every time you play the game. We also have 4 different technology decks, and there's 2 cards from each of those decks laid out with a gray cube, which essentially is a waste cube for these different technologies. For example, deck 1 is exploration and warfare, this is trade and growth, this is progress and science, and this is conversion and renewal. And there's 2 of each of those types of cards to start the game. And the final thing we do before we get started is we get into our bag. If you remember, this had 1 cube of each color, and you're going to, without looking, randomly draw 3 of those cubes and put it into your area here, which is your upcoming actions. Now on their turn, there's a bunch of actions you can do, but there's a couple that you have to do. The 3 cubes that are here, or the cubes that are here, and when you pull them out of the bag, there may be less than 3 in certain instances, you have to use these. And use them or lose them. So one of the 2 things you can do with these is place them on certain spaces on your board here. Now for example, I might want to take this orange and put it here, and this blue and put it here, and I have completed this action, which allows me to activate this ability. Now this one allows me to move anything up in my development, any one thing up twice in my development track. Well, what does this do? This development track, we randomly start with 1 on level 3, 1 on level 2, 1 on level 1. You get to select those at the beginning of the game. And let's say I have this. I can move any one of them 2. So let's go ahead and move this one to 2. And now, look, there's 2 different levels here. Here is a 1 cube level, here's a 2 cube level. At any time during my turn, I can decide to activate one of these and bring it back to 0. And since I was here, this allows me to grab a purple cube, like this one here, and put it directly in my bag. Now this is actually pretty important at the beginning of the game here, because now I have 3 cubes in there, and I'll show you why that's important later. So that's one of the things you have to do is use these cubes, and this is one of the spots you could use it. This one, if you didn't want to use it, you could always move them to the use cube area, but this one is a red one, and maybe I put it here. The other place that you can use the cubes are if you have actually bought one of these cards in an earlier turn, and you can place cubes on some of these technology cards that activate certain things. Now there's some optional things that you can do on your turn. Again, you can do these in any order. Is to go in a city. Assuming there's nobody else in this city, you can go in this city and then activate this. Now these things this allows you to move and to develop 1 on your development track. Now this person is going to be stuck here and unable to move until we do a reset. We'll talk about that later. But it allows me to do one of these 2 things, and I can move. So now I can use this for 1 point of movement into the desert. Now the desert doesn't cost any extra points to move into, but a lot of the other terrains do. And I can also develop one more. So hey, maybe I move this to develop one more, and I slide it back down to 0, and I can get an orange cube into my bag. And now this person, with an optional thing, it doesn't cost an action. As long as this is empty, they can move into this city and either move or develop. And maybe he moves this person here, and for an option thing, they can actually, as long as there's nobody here, they can go on these ruin tokens. These ruin tokens do all sorts of different things. There's silver, bronze, and gold, and they get better as you get to the harder tiles here. And we flip this up, and in this case, hey, this one is just a victory point. And I get to put it right in the gem spot on my board. This is 1 point at the end. Some of these you may want to activate later and hold them. You can hold one of these secretly at a time and use it, but if you get another one you want to keep it, you got to get rid of one of them. So there's the ruin tokens. Other ruin tokens might give you different actions that we're going to go over next. So all different, oh, look at those are the same. But different actions that you see on your board here are different things that you can get with ruin tokens. So they're either going to give you victory points or they're going to give you some extra actions. Now I forgot to mention that when you move to a spot that is adjacent to one of the ones that are not there, you get to flip these over. And these again are random at the beginning of the game. Oh, those are 2 desert tiles. But as you can see, as some of these flip over, there'll be different terrains that come up as people look into different things. So deserts don't cost you anything to move into. All the other tiles types, like we have the woods, we have the swamps, we have things like that. All these actually would get turned over when someone was close enough, but I wanted to show you the different terrain tiles here. All these other ones cost 1 extra point of movement to go in and out of into other ones, assuming the ones you're going out of and into are different terrains. So these would flip these over, and then we immediately put ghosts on there. So essentially, in this case, he would have only have seen these tiles. These ones still would have been flipped over, and we would have 2 ghosts here that essentially now, to get into these cities, you have to go in and you actually have to attack them. So let's look at the different actions. So if we activated this one, we'd get 2 moves. If we did this one, we'd move, and we'd get to put one of our miniatures in any of our homelands, but not in the city. Again, here is we can get an attack or get to put 2 fortresses. Now we haven't talked about attacking yet, but fortresses essentially is defense for when people are attacking you. We have an attack, then a move, or a move. Again, you can do these in any order. Placing a miniature in fortress, placing a miniature in attacking. Here, again, moving up 2 different development tracks once or 1 development track twice. A victory point, or getting a point and going developments. And this is getting those advanced technology cards, and then that plus a point. Those are the different actions there. Now, if you activate the advanced technology, you can take one of these, or if you want, they're all labeled as to what stage they're out of. You can look at any one stage and take 2 more cards off the top and see if you want to replace those before you get one. But essentially you could like get one of these and then put it in front of you. Now it comes with this gray cube which goes here, and after a reset, that waste cube, which is good for nothing, goes in your bag and kind of mucks up your bag. And you get to put the card in front of you that you would be able to use on future turns. In this case, you could put cubes there, and this card right here allows you to clone, and essentially you can place a new miniature on any hexagon where you already have at least 1 miniature. So, and all these technology cards do all sorts of cool different little special abilities, but I'm not going to go over all those. So how does attacking work? If I moved in here, in order to get into the city, I would need to be able to attack this person. Now if I have 1 point of attack right now would kill this person, and since this is a ghost, he goes on my board and goes into the graveyard because he's worth points at the end of the game. Now let's say there was a different player's person in that city there, and let's say that they actually had a fortress as well. So this would cause me to have 2 attack points to beat him, and let's say I did have 2 attack points. The fortress is gone, and then this person would be killed. And then they would go in your graveyard. You're only going to hold 1 person of each color in your graveyard. If you kill another one, you give it back to him. This shows you that you have killed at least 1 red guy. Now, you would continue to do this until basically your turn's over. You've spent all your actions, and then to look forward to your next turn, you're going to draw 3 more cubes out of your bag. And so, and you'll put them here, which is cool because you get to now think about what you're going to do with this while other people are doing their moves, and keeps downtime down. So I have just drawn these 3 cubes here, and I'll think about these for the next turn. Now when it's your turn again, you'll spend these, and let's say you get these are all spent, and then you draw from your bag. Now, this is the interesting thing about having an equal amount. So you only have 2 here, like that, and so now you only have 2 actions next turn, but when these are gone, my bag is empty, and you do a reset. And during a reset, the first thing you do is, again, this is when you can move your guys outside the city and move them again. You do that to all the guys that are in ruins or cities. And you take any of the unused cubes, you put them in your bag, and then you also have these ones that you have the option of taking them back. You can leave them there like that for the next rounds, or maybe I'm like, I want to use this purple somewhere else. I can decide to put this in my bag. And when I'm done with the reset, essentially I'm going to take 3 more cubes and put them out here, draw them out, so I know what I'm going to be doing on my next turn, and that's sort of a reset. Now the game can end in one of 3 different ways. You can play a short, medium, or long game, and the short game will end when 1 victory condition is done, medium is 2, and long is all 3 of them. One of them is you have any one person has 12 points or more in their victory points area, and that's by these. And there's some other tokens that you can get that will have victory points on them. The second way it can end is anyone gets their 5th technology card. And the last way is somebody puts their final and 10th last person on the map. And again, short, medium, or long game, 1, 2, or 3 of those things done, that triggers the end game. And at the end, we go through scoring of how many points, gems you have on your board. Then you get a certain amount of points depending on how many ghosts you've killed. 1, 2, or 3 ghosts is 1, 3, or 6 points. And then how many enemies you've killed. Then how many cubes you have. Basically 1 point for every cube except the gray ones. Then there's the different objective tiles that you can get during the game for technologies and gems and miniatures and things like that. And then we have victory points for the advanced technologies. Certain cards will give you that. And then controlling territories. So you get a point for each controlling homeland. You get 2 for each borderland hexagon and 4 points for controlling the central. So everybody will fight for that. And you have the points. Whoever has the most at the end is the winner. All right, well, like usual, Asmodee, great components and artwork. Gosh, the box is just gorgeous. The player boards are gorgeous. The cards are gorgeous. The components, each of the different colors, miniatures are awesome. Amazing job on the artwork and components, which we've been coming to expect from Asmodee, and this is no different. This game, I gotta be honest, it's not my cup of tea just because I'm not typically into this type of game where we're moving around and attacking and in a fantasy land. So let me put my personal opinion aside and judge it by the game that it is. It's not something that I would like, but I can really see that this is a very well designed, very good game that I think a lot of people are going to love. If you like moving around hexes, if you like planning your movements, if you like attacking other people, if you like having some hidden information of what tokens you're going to get when you get there, if you like going down different tracks and adding different cubes, if you like deck building too, this aspect of which cubes am I going to build up my development to then add to my bag, that's a very interesting part of this game, and I think it's really going to make a lot of people happy. Also, trying to figure out which developments to move up on the track and how many times, when are we going to add cubes to the bag, because you want to make sure that you're as efficient as possible on your last turn before the reset. You've got an equal 3 cubes, you get all the actions. There's a lot of good decisions to make here as to which actions you're going to go for. And yes, there's some luck of drawing into the bag and pulling out something that, man, I had 2 blue cubes in there. I didn't pull any of them out. Now what am I going to do? Trying to mitigate that luck of, some of it's luck, obviously. It's all luck because you get to tell what goes in that bag by the actions you take. But there is some luck there. And when you do pull out something that's not really what you needed or what you were looking for, how are you going to rebound from that? And what are other people doing? And a little bit of area control, fighting over that center for the thing, and getting those cool advanced technology cards that love you to do a lot of cool things. Now, I just gave you a very brief, very high-level overview. There's a lot of really cool abilities from those technology cards. Ones that let you fly, ones that let you, put your guy out where other people are, cloning. There's all sorts of really cool things in those technologies that make this game have a lot of decisions. So anyway, it's not something for me, but this is going to be, I think, a very solid game for a lot of people that like deck building, even though this is bag building, and a lot of the hex moving and attacking. Hyperborea.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.